Okay, so you guys wanted to get a handle on this whole gang situation in New York City homeless shelters.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the report you sent me, um, the impact of gang infiltration in New York homeless shelters,
Right.
it's
Heavy stuff.
it's heavy stuff. We're going to try to unpack it all for you today.
Absolutely. I think it's really important that we dive into this.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start by just defining what we mean by gangs and the shelter system, just so we're all on the same page.
Yeah, good idea.
When we talk about gangs, we're talking about organized groups that use intimidation and violence
Right.
to exert control, often involved in criminal activities.
Okay.
And the shelter system, as you might know, is a network of facilities designed to provide temporary housing and support
Right.
for individuals experiencing homelessness.
So we've got these shelters meant to be safe havens,
Right.
but this report is painting a picture of something far from safe.
Definitely.
It talks about gangs essentially taking over, turning these shelters into their own turf.
Exactly. And what's really disturbing is how they exploit the inherent vulnerability of the shelter environment.
Right.
These are places where people are already grappling with trauma, instability, and a lack of resources.
Yeah.
It creates a perfect breeding ground for exploitation.
And they use fear to silence residents.
Absolutely.
The report mentions threats of violence, even death, for speaking out or reporting crimes.
Yes, classic power play.
Imagine being in a place
Much like we see
that's supposed to offer protection, but feeling too terrified to even ask for help.
in totalitarian regimes or even abusive relationships,
Right.
they instill fear to maintain control.
Yeah.
The report actually quotes one resident who said, "You see something, you hear something, but you say nothing.
Wow.
You just keep your head down if you want to survive."
That's just heartbreaking.
It is.
And it gets even more disturbing when you see how they target specific individuals.
Right.
The report highlights how gangs single out white working residents in particular.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a deliberate attempt to sow discord and deepen existing societal divisions.
Well, there's definitely an element of scapegoating at play.
Yeah.
By targeting these individuals, gangs can further isolate them, making them easier to control and manipulate.
Right.
There's a case in the report where a white man who held a steady job was falsely accused of theft
Wow.
and ultimately evicted,
Yes.
making room for gang members.
So it's not just about violence, it's about manipulating the system itself, gain power and resources.
Absolutely.
And then there's this whole issue of collusion with shelter staff.
Right.
That's where it gets truly shocking.
Yeah. The report reveals instances where staff members are coerced, threatened, or even bribed into working with gangs.
It's like a nightmare scenario.
They might be forced to evict innocent residents, turn a blind eye to illegal activities, or
Right.
even actively assist in gang operations.
The people who are supposed to be protecting residents are actually enabling the very groups that are terrorizing them.
This collusion thrives because of deeper cracks in the system itself.
Yeah.
The report goes into detail about the lack of resources, inadequate security protocols,
Right.
and the absence of robust whistleblower protections.
So it's a perfect storm that allows this corruption to flourish.
Yeah.
Let's break that down a bit more.
Okay.
What are some of the specific systemic failures that the report identifies?
Well, for starters, many shelters are severely understaffed and underfunded.
Right.
This means that staff members are often overworked, stressed, and more susceptible to manipulation or threats.
Okay.
Then there's the issue of security. Many shelters lack basic security measures,
Yeah.
like metal detectors, security cameras, or even adequate lighting.
So it's easy for gangs to bring in weapons or drugs.
Exactly.
And it creates an environment where residents feel constantly unsafe.
Exactly. And to make matters worse, there's often a culture of silence within the shelter system. Staff members who witness misconduct or abuse are often afraid to speak up for fear of retaliation. There are either no formal channels for reporting concerns, or there's a lack of trust that anything will be done.
So it's a systemic failure on multiple levels.
Yes.
But the report doesn't just highlight problems. It offers solutions.
Right.
What are some of the key reforms that it proposes?
Well, the report emphasizes a multi-pronged approach. One solution is a security overhaul.
Okay.
Increased law enforcement presence, better surveillance systems, and stricter protocols for entry and exit.
Okay.
But I'm curious, wouldn't flooding these shelters with police potentially backfire?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
It's a delicate balance between ensuring safety and maintaining a sense of dignity and support.
Right.
The report also emphasizes the need for robust staff training.
Absolutely. Equipping staff to recognize the signs of gang activity, understand their tactics, and know how to safely report suspicious behavior is crucial.
Right.
And equally important is providing them with the resources and support they need to resist coercion or threats.
And we also can't overlook the critical need for independent oversight committees.
I was just going to say that, yeah, these committees could play a vital role in investigating allegations of misconduct, ensuring that shelters are adhering to safety protocols, and providing a safe and confidential channel for residents and staff to report concerns.
So it's about creating a system of accountability that protects both residents and staff.
Exactly. This deep dive has really illuminated a dark underbelly of the shelter system.
Yeah.
It's clear that gangs are exploiting vulnerable individuals, and the system itself is struggling to cope.
The need for reform is urgent. But where do we even begin to tackle a problem this complex?
Well, it's a daunting challenge, but awareness is the first step.
Right.
You know, we need to shine a light on this issue, demand accountability from those in power, and advocate for policies and resources that can truly make a difference.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But it's crucial to remember that every individual has a role to play. Whether it's volunteering at a shelter, donating to organizations that support the homeless, or simply raising awareness among your friends and family.
Right.
There are countless ways to make a difference.
This whole situation raises a really important question.
Okay.
How can we as a society ensure that shelters are truly safe havens, not breeding grounds for exploitation?
Yeah.
It's a complex issue with no easy answers, but it demands our attention, our empathy, and our commitment to creating a more just and compassionate system for everyone.
I think it's a good place to leave it for today.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Take care.